Hi, my name's Dave Adams. Welcome to Nerds of Wisdom Weekly, and today I want to talk about people like me, reviewers. So let's get into it. Now, this week I wanted to actually take a step out of just things that are generally happening in nerd culture and focus on sort of the role that I do, because I had a really interesting conversation with Board Gamer Girl, or Ashley, who was discussing the idea of podcasts and reviewers that she listens to. And we had this interesting discussion about how reviewers in the whole on YouTube aren't really doing anything all that different from one another, and how hard it is to really find reviewers that we find interesting and that we want to listen to regularly. I thought it would be interesting to just have a bit of an exploration into what it is that I look for from reviewers and try to aspire to. I say aspire to because I really see myself as still learning my own job as a reviewer and what I'm hoping to do and what I look for from others. Now, I suppose one of the things I could say is honesty, is that I'm really looking for the reviewers to give me an honest opinion. But that's a kind of hard statement to make, because a lot of the times people genuinely feel grateful for receiving content, and so they tend to be positive about it. So I guess what I'm looking for is not just that people are honest about the content, but that people provide me an informed decision. Now, I know in general people make emotional decisions and then they try to justify those decisions. And I'm not looking for reviewers to be anything other than normal or human. But what I do look for is some thought into the process, or some thought into why they feel this way, or why they like something, or why they don't like something. People who just absolutely love everything, I tend to shy away from, because they don't seem to really be giving me enough of a decision-making process that I can base my decisions off of. At the same time, people who hate on everything are doing exactly the same thing. They're not really providing me critical thought into it. They're just providing me their overly nebulous emotional reaction. So what I'm looking for is really people who can draw me into the experience of the game. People who can not just talk about how the game plays or whether the game is good or bad, but can actually provide genuine thoughts as to what mechanics, what styles, what theming, how things work together, and how they create an overall experience. Even more helpful is when people can actually identify their own biases. So, for instance, I know with Tom Vassell, he likes those sort of dice chucking games, whereas I tend to be a little bit more weary of dice chucking games. But he openly admits that and identifies that as one of the contributing factors to his decision for liking things. When he does that, it gives me the freedom to go, well, actually, I'm not a huge fan of dice chucking games. So I'm looking for more than just honesty. I'm looking for people who can drag me into the experience, who can identify why this game makes them feel this way. Do they really enjoy it? Do they really hate it? Doesn't matter. Can they articulate why they love, why they hate it? That makes a big difference to me. And of course, a lot of people, when they're writing reviews or working as a reviewer, they really enjoy getting free content, which is, I guess that's okay. But when I'm looking for reviewers, I'm looking for people who are in it for more than just getting stuff, or people who are just constantly buying stuff. I want people who are genuine about their commitment in terms of what they're trying to produce. People who genuinely love the act of sharing ideas and thoughts and contributing to their community and helping people to make better decisions, then I know that those reviewers are the ones who are going to be providing me with the best content, because they're actually in it for something other than just the free stuff. It may sound altruistic to say something like that, but I think it does make a difference. That actually can also be a bit of a burden to reviewers, because constantly playing new games means that you're a little bit limited in your time to be able to just sit down and have a good game tonight. There are many times I want to just sit down and pull out a game that I love, but I know I've got to get through these other games so that I can review them. And so I'm spending time reading rules more, I'm spending time working stuff out more. I have to have friends who are willing to just come over to learn a game with me, and that can actually be a bit of a downer. Now, also, I think it's important for people to relay some of their personality. I'm going to give you a few of my favorite reviewers soon. Some of these reviewers are really well produced, putting out incredibly wonderful content in terms of its style and how it looks. For some, that's a real bonus to it. The people who I appreciate the most are the people who not only can provide a good review, but also share some of themselves with me. And I think that makes for a real important human moment with the review, because people who just tell me the basics of, well, this is the game and this is how you play it, aren't really giving me anything more than I could get out of reading the rules. I want a review. I want to know what this game is like. I want to know why you liked it. I want to know how it impacted you. I want to know what you loved about it. If I'm watching you, then I want to hear about your thoughts. So with that said, I want to go through a few of my favorite reviewers. The Dice Tower produce wonderful content. They produce a lot of content. And the best part is they are the very definition of the sort of people I'm talking about, who bring themselves to the reviews. Tom Z, Sam in particular, and there's a whole bunch of people they get on board working with them. But these guys in particular really present themselves and put themselves into every review. And on top of that, I know that they're in it for the community and not just for the free stuff. They can get plenty of free stuff, but they're all about the community. And look, they're not the most high-tech, high-end, post-production sort of team. But what they do is good, it's well-crafted, it makes a lot of sense, and I really enjoy their content. They provide not only a sense of how to play the game, but also what the experience is like. And I probably should also note that I think they've set the trend for YouTube in a big way for board game reviews. A lot of people just try to copy what they're doing and how they do it, which I think says a lot about what their contribution has really been to the board gaming hobby. I guess another person I want to talk about who is in a similar vein, it's not high post-production sort of stuff, really brings herself to it, and that's Annette, or as she's known on Instagram as Netta's Plays. Now, she is a very simple reviewer doing a lot of really good stuff. She's really just doing it as a service to the community. Again, it's not really big production sort of stuff. It's very simple: webcam, microphone, let me tell you about this game. But because she brings herself to it, she really provides, I suppose, an enjoyable, interesting reviews. So I quite like watching Annette. But I also know Annette is connected with some networks, and these networks are really worth tuning into if you ever get the chance. Of course, the Insta Gamers Network are a group of people who know each other on Instagram, obviously, and they're just people who just wanted to do something for the community, and so it's worth going and checking their stuff out. But I think Meeples Included are worth a look as well, and in particular because they're actually trying to raise the level of minority voices in board gaming. So they're not just bringing reviews, they're also trying to promote an ideal in the community. They've really got this great focus, which I think needs to be shared and heard more of. It's great to have more female reviewers. It's great to have views from different perspectives, not just, middle-class white guys. But then there are people who are just a little bit more on the alternate route in terms of how they produce or the content they produce and what they're doing. And that's like Rim and Scott, who do Geek Nights, a podcast. Now, they don't specifically do reviews all the time. They are a podcast. They talk about events. But the thing I love about Rim and Scott is they do a weekly gaming discussion. Sometimes they do just review a game, and that's what they're doing. But they are such big personalities. And they make me laugh so much. But more than that, they're really well-informed geeks. They are incredibly intelligent. They think through, they talk through mechanics, they talk through all the elements of style and play, and they provide this really comprehensive overview of a game. They're very strong on opinions, but they provide really well-informed and well-crafted opinions. And they really inspire me to continue to learn more and understand the hobby better and the games better before providing my reviews and feedback to the community. Of course, one of the people that they actually introduced me to is the next guy, Gregory Cornell, who is this, he just does basic reviews. He just talks through the game and how it plays. But you should see what this guy does. He does it all through the art and magic of stop animation. Now, I don't know if it's clay animation or if it's somehow digital or whatever, but it's these brilliant little animations with this little figurine who talks you through the game, and it's so clear, comprehensively done. This guy's clearly put a lot of thought into how he's going to present the game, the elements of the game he wants to present, and then providing his feedback and thoughts on the game at the end. But it's all done through these little animated characters, and it's so clever but you look at the production level and you think, what? How long did this take to do? You must be a nut. But at the same time, I I loved watching it, and so I highly recommend you check this guy out. Now, talking about more of the high production stuff, there are a couple of reviewers which I think you should pay attention to. Yes, they provide good reviews, but also their production quality is really quite high. And it's not that that makes the review happen, it's that these guys have really thought all the elements through, and they're working with a skill set that just some of us don't have. So they make for really enjoyable reviews. The first one of which is to Die 4 Games, which have their own YouTube channel, but they also appear on the Dice Tower with their lunchtime. They've thought a lot through. They've got real personalities. They've thought through, almost they've taken on personas and characters that they use in their reviews. So each person has their own interests in games, and so they've sort of bottled that interest and distilled it into this character or personality that they try to present their reviews from. They provide this sort of 360 review of a board game, which is just marvelous because you really get a sense of the game from a lot of different perspectives all in one hit. They're funny, they're fun, they're lighthearted, and they just, the quality of what they're doing is amazing. Just amazing. So they're worth checking out. But the final one, I think, are the guys who are really sort of taken up even another notch. And I'm pretty sure some of these guys have even quit their jobs to go and do this, like full-time. Kudos to you, that's amazing. Man vs. Meeple has got to be one of the more professionally produced productions. They do this really wonderful talk show. It's almost like a talk show that of board games, where they're not just providing a review of this is how the game works. They do that almost as a segment of what is a broader conversation, and they have this wonderful conversation about the game. They talk through their experiences of playing it, and the level of production that goes into these reviews is amazing. They're really well worth the time and effort, and I can see them only getting way bigger in the future. But look, hopefully that will give you a sense of some of the reviews that I like to watch, and maybe give you a bit of a sense of some ideas of where you could go, because I love supporting good content, and I really aspire to produce better content myself all the time. And these guys are part of my inspiration, so I really hope you'll go check them out and provide them with a little bit of love as well. But look, that's all I'm going to share on that. This week, I hope you'll go and check out www.gamerpalooza.com, where you can see a lot of my written reviews. But it's not just me reviewing. There's a bunch of really good reviewers on there, providing great content, looking at board games, discussing board games. And in fact, there's also some metagame articles on there that I do specifically at the moment about optimal player count, and what it means when people use that term of this game works best with 4 players, or this game works best with 2 players, what that should mean, or how we can better understand it. Also, last week we did our first behind the game. Now look, we're working towards Mike Selinker's 100th game, where we are trying to create and produce our own game. So Ricky and I sat down, we engaged in this 48-hour challenge, which is actually for computer gamers, but we sort of did it with a board game, just saw what we could produce. So it took me half an hour to think of the game, an hour to actually put it together. We give it a playthrough, but we'd love to hear your thoughts, because we want to try and stretch ourselves and really challenge ourselves in the design process. So I hope you'll go and give that a look. And I hope you'll go check out Core Mechanic this week. We're looking at the game Citadels. We're down to our last 3 for this season, so I think the last one will be actually a 2-parter. So it's going to be this game Citadels, and then we're going to look at, oh no, should we have another 4? So we've got this, and then we've got we're going to spotlight a particular game designer, and we're going to do an in-depth investigation into how board games and video games use psychology. So we're going to look at classical conditioning, operant conditioning, and proceduralism. But look, if you like what we're doing, please hit that like button. And if you're new to here, then please hit that subscribe button. We love to add new people to the community. Until then, my name's Dave Adams, and that's what's happening now.